Moya's on.
Moya and
Abreu.
Settle down, guys. We're about to begin. Zoom webinar. Please start the webinar.
That's fine.
Good morning. Welcome to the New York City Council hearing on the Subcommittee on Zoning and Franchises. At this time, please silence all electronics and do not approach the dais. I repeat, please do not approach the dais. If you wish to testify, make sure you fill out a slip at the back of the room with the Sergeant at Arms. If you wish to testify online, you may do so at landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. That is landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. At this time, any further questions or concerns, please contact the Sergeant. Chair, you may begin.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a meeting of the Subcommittee on Zoning and Franchises. I am Councilmember Kevin Riley, Chair of this subcommittee. Today, I'm joined by Speaker Adams. Remotely, we're joined by Councilmember Moya, Abreu, and in person, we're joined by Councilmember Shulman, Carr, and Marte. Today, we are scheduled to hold two public hearings. The first public hearing concerns a proposal to develop a mixed-use residential building in South Jamaica, Queens. The second hearing concerns a sidewalk cafe application along Canal Street in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. I will now go over the hearing procedures. This meeting is being held in hybrid format. Members of the public who wish to testify may testify in person or through Zoom. Members of the public wishing to testify remotely may register by visiting the New York City Council's website at www.council.nyc.gov/landuse to sign up. And for those of you here in person, please see one of the Sergeant at Arms to prepare and submit a speaker's card. Members of the public may also view a live stream broadcast of this meeting on the Council's website. When you are called to testify before the subcommittee, if you are joining us remotely, you will remain muted until recognized by myself to speak. When you are recognized, your microphone will be unmuted. We will limit public testimony to 2 minutes per witness. If you have additional testimony you would like the subcommittee to consider, or if you have written testimony you would like to submit instead of appearing in person, please email it to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. Written testimony may be submitted up to 3 days after the hearing is closed. Please indicate the LU number and the project name in the subject line of your email. We request that the witnesses joining us remotely remain in the meeting until excused by myself, as council members may have questions. Lastly, for everyone attending today's meeting, this is a government proceeding and decorum must be observed at all times. Members of the public are asked not to speak during the meeting unless you are testifying. The witness table is reserved for people who are called to testify, and no video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Further, members of the public may not present audio or video recording as testimony, but may submit transcript of such recording to the Sergeant at Arms for inclusion in the hearing record. In the hearing's record. I will now open public hearing on LUs 239 and 240 relating to the 123-12 Suffolk Boulevard rezoning proposal in Speaker Adams' district. The proposal seeks a rezoning to develop a mixed-use residential and community facility building in South Jamaica, Queens, with approximately 125 apartments. The apartments will be above a house of worship on the ground floor and cellar be owned and operated by the applicant. This new development will have 55 surface parking spaces at the rear of the building. The proposal also involves the mapping of mandatory inclusionary housing, and the result, approximately 31 of the apartments would be permanently affordable. For anyone wishing to testify on these items remotely, if you have not already done so, you must register online by visiting the Council's website at council.nyc.gov/landuse. For anyone with us in person, please see one of the Sergeants at Arms to submit a speaker's card. If you would prefer to submit written testimony, you can always do so by emailing it to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. I would now like to recognize Speaker Adams for her opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Chair Riley, and good morning, everyone. We are having a hearing today on the land use application at 123-12 Sutphin Boulevard to facilitate the development of a mixed-use community facility, and residential building with permanently affordable homes. This rezoning proposal is not only in my district, it is also very close to my district office and not far from my own home. This project is located in my neighborhood, so our community is keen on ensuring that it fits and contributes to the surrounding area in Southeast Queens. As I have said throughout my time as Speaker, our city is in a housing crisis that is squeezing out working and middle-class families who are on the brink. So it's important that we advance solutions that meet our residents' housing needs. At the same time, we must also maintain respect for neighborhood character so that our communities can retain what makes them special and unique. Striking that balance is important in any project. I want to thank the applicants, SBR Equities, and Full Gospel Mission Church of God in Christ for being here today. Pastor Rosh and Bishop Butler, I sincerely appreciate the work and engagement your church and the developer have done already, and I expect that we will continue this conversation moving forward on this proposal. I do acknowledge that this proposal has undergone some design revisions to address concerns raised by Community Board 12, as well as many of our neighbors. I look forward to further progress today, and I look forward to hearing your testimony. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Speaker Adams. I will now call on the applicant panel for this proposal, which consists of Richard Lobel and Kevin Williams. Council, can you please administer the affirmation?
Please raise your right hand and state your name for the record.
Richard Lobel.
Kevin Williams.
Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in your testimony today in response to council member questions?
I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. And for the viewing public, if you need an accessible version of this presentation, please send an email request to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. And now the applicant team may begin. I'll just ask you gentlemen to please reinstate your name and organization for the record. You may begin.
Thank you, Richard Lobel of Sheldon Lobel PC, Speaker Adams, Chair Riley, council members, good morning. We're thrilled to be here today representing both Sam Rabani from SBR as well as Bishop Butler and Mr. Matthews from Full Gospel Mission Church. We're also joined by Dan Rousseau online, project architect, as well as Kevin. And so this is the 123-12 Sutphin Boulevard rezoning. The rezoning, next slide, would change existing zoning districts from R3A and R3A C13 to R6A and R6A C13. And so what this will do will be to really correct a wrong in terms of the church and the site, which for close to 30 years now has housed a one-story dilapidated structure. What this rezoning will allow would be to facilitate the development of a new mixed-use community facility building, as we will detail in the plans and materials. We also, at the same time as the rezoning, would be asking for a text amendment, of course, so that the site would be inclusive of mandatory inclusionary housing. The next slide are the numbers behind the proposed development. We would note that there have been many conversations with community members, including several meetings with Community Board 12 and local stakeholders, many of whom have submitted materials and consent letters in favor. And so the original proposal was for an 8-story plus cellar building. The proposal now is for a full 5-story building with a deeply set back 6-story merely for accessory recreational use, primarily glass enclosed structure on the 6th story, which would allow for health and wellness classes and fitness classes. The building itself reduced from over 87,000 square feet to 81,000 square feet, allowing for a 10,000 square foot cellar and ground floor community facility for the church, as well as 77,000 square feet of residential use above. The building would reach a total height of 67 feet. This is as opposed to 82 feet as originally proposed. There would additionally be bike and vehicular parking spaces. The units generated would be 120 units versus the original 125 with 30 affordable units. I think it's worth noting that the developers and the church worked very hard with the community and with Speaker Adams and received really good input in terms of what was really appropriate for the site. And I would also add that given the recent changes pursuant to City of Yes, we're able to reduce the height of the building without a major disruption in the program or in the number of units. So this is really a victory for everybody. The next slide is the zoning map, which, although challenging to read, You can kind of see there's R6 both to the north and south of the site. We'll detail on the area map how well this fits in. The next slide is the tax map, which shows highlighted in red the church property, as well as the next slide to the north, the property across 123rd. And so these would be the properties that would be rezoned pursuant to this proposal. There is existing R6 to the north and south of the site. I think the next slide really tells the story well. It's the area map, which shows that this proposed R6A district bridges the gap on Sutphin between the existing R6 to the north and south, allowing for contextual development. There are 4-story residential buildings to the north. There are 8-story residential buildings to the south. This building at 5 stories in terms of the primary bulk of the building will fit well within the character. We also have a park immediately to the southeast, which would allow for the benefit of residents of the proposed building. The next slide and the next several slides are photos of the surrounding area. In the upper right corner, formerly you could see there it is. You can see that 1-story concrete structure. This was erected in 1995 and has sat there, for the entirety of this time, really demonstrating that, there was no productive development at the site. So we're really excited about the opportunity to move forward and to produce something that would allow for housing and affordability, as well as for updated community facility space for the church, which currently is housed in a small building across 123rd. The next slide is continues with pictures, and then beyond that, there is the project plans, architectural plans under the current proposal. I'm going to briefly go through those. Dan Russo is our architect, is on the phone and is happy to answer any specific questions as they arrive. But you can see the current rendering of the building. Next slide. Next slide. So this merely shows the context of the building within the surrounding area. Again, a 5-story building in terms of the full stories. And then if you want to keep going, you can see the next slide shows this recessed, rather lovely space on the roof, which would allow for outdoor recreation space for all of the building's residents. The next slide is a site plan, which kind of shows the layout of the area in terms of this site and the existing density. And then the remaining slides are, if you want to page forward, parking, which would be on the ground floor, including the blue space devoted to the church. That's 10,000 square feet of usable space, with residential units above. And if you just want to go through that, you can see the rough layouts of the residential units set back from the rear to allow for additional space in the rear yard. The next several slides are proposed renderings of the building, inclusive of mural space to allow for artistic expression on what would otherwise be a blank wall. This is something that our project architect is proud of and has done on other developments. So without taking any further time, if we're going to just forward through the remaining slides, you can see the building again, the renderings of the building, inclusive of a setback on the northeast corner to allow for additional space in the area and so that the building won't mass too greatly in that area. If you want to just forward through the remaining renderings, just again demonstrating the proposed bulk of the site and the context of the surrounding area. I think if you just want to forward to the last page, which says 12312 Sutphin Boulevard on the top, we would now be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Richard. I just have a few questions, and I'm going to turn over to Speaker Adams. Where's the church operating right now, and are there any future plans for the existing church building after it relocates to the new building?
So, Chair, the church currently operates in a small 2-story building across 123rd Avenue, and it's rather small space, allows for small church gatherings, but doesn't really allow for utilization of the space in terms of the church's program and the outreach they do. So the church, as proposed, would move into this space, which now amounts to roughly 10,000 square feet, which is several times the size of the current building in which it's located. Their current property, which they own, would also be rezoned under the proposal, which would, at this time be as of right under the R6A, but there aren't any current development plans for that. They just would own that space as well.
What current programs does the church have right now?
You know, I think I probably would maybe ask Bishop Butler if he'd like to address that. I'm happy to answer any questions in the short term, but perhaps if the bishop wants to.
Sergeant, can we get the bishop speaker's card? And while we wait for the bishop, you said the architect is online?
He is.
What's his name again?
Dan Russo.
Dan, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to swear you in right now, Dan.
Yes, sir.
Well, why don't we call the bishop and swear both of them?
Thank you, Bishop.
Good morning.
Please, could you please raise your right hand? And Mr. Russo, could you also please raise your right hand if you can turn on your camera? Thank you. Could you please
Yes,
say
sir.
both of your names for the record?
Tyrone
Daniel
Butler.
Russo.
Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in your testimony today in response to council member questions?
I do.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Bishop, what type of programs do you have operating out of the church?
So, for example, we do community impact programs like Thanksgiving, the last community feeding we did, which we fed hot meals to everyone in the community who desired it. We literally had to do it outside. It wasn't comfortable. Of course, it wasn't convenient, but we fed hot meals to everyone in the community. In the summer, we also have our programs where we go outdoors, give away bags, items, as well as food for the families in the community. We just also launched a brotherhood program to attempt to get more young men to come into some of our contact with our church programs. So we're constantly looking for other ways to impact, particularly families in the community, particularly young people, young men and young women, to get them into a more positive aspect of life. So between our youth programs, our feeding programs, we're always trying to do something to show our touch and our sort of concern for the community, not just our worship services.
Thank you, Bishop. Will the new church location be used mainly for worship services? Obviously not, because Bishop just mentioned other services. Or do you plan to use it for other services that the Bishop did not speak about today?
So the current proposal includes flexible space, and the discussion that we've had internally was the opportunity to allow for community groups, nonprofits, and such to schedule time with the church in order to use that space. So it's an important part of the current proposal and would be allowed to be used by members of the community in large.
Why are you proposing the R6A district? Did you not explore other zoning districts?
You know, we did explore other districts. The R6A was originally proposed because of the existing R6 to the north and south of the site and the density in the immediate area. There's Baisley Gardens, which is to the south of the site at 8 stories. After further discussion with many community stakeholders as well as with the speaker, the discussion was around whether or not we'd be able to fulfill the program with a shorter building. But as it turns out, the opportunity to allow for the full utilization by the church, inclusive of this 10,000 square feet, as well as to create a meaningful number of units, we decided to maintain an R6A, which further allows us to provide over 30 units in terms of affordability. So we're able to, through City of Yes, we're able to fill out more of the footprint of the building. And so this really allows for both the church and the residential program to exist.
If this proposal is not approved, are there any other plans for this property?
You know, Chair, sadly, when we've talked about this internally as an applicant team, when you look at that one-story concrete, it's not even really a structure, it's like a shell. That happened because there was a prior developer who over 30 years ago, really for want of a better term, took advantage of the church and proposed a partnership where they would build something. And so that property has sat with this dilapidated structure for over 30 years. I think one thing that we've all been united on in terms of our community conversations has been the opportunity to really right that wrong. So we don't really know what would happen to the property in the absence of this rezoning. We do know that the church has done a lot of work in terms of outreach and came to their community meetings with, I think, over 50 consent letters of people in the immediate area who were in favor of what they're currently proposing.
Thank you, Richard. I'm going to yield my time to the speaker to ask her questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Welcome once again. It's good to see you all here today.
Thank you.
As was mentioned, this property has sat, on Sutphin Boulevard for a very long time. It's been an eyesore. It's been a blight. And just for my colleagues on the committee, this property pretty much is a pretty large vacant lot on a corner, but it abuts an elementary school. So when you're looking at the rendering, if you can put the rendering back up, I just want to make sure that my colleagues are clear. The rendering where the mural is, the mural is literally abuts an elementary school with a fence there. So PS 23 is their playground is literally right here on this side of what would be this building. So the community has been talking about this space for a very long time. I just want my colleagues also to get an idea. The chair touched on it a little bit as far as why this property has been, just sitting there for so long. And myself, just like I always say, we're our own constituents. As my own constituent, I'm sitting there, all these years. Why is this happening? What's going on? We've seen this before COVID, now through COVID, after COVID, and it's just sitting there. Nothing's happening except overgrowth and some stones. So can you just, explain to my colleagues what happened, what the process was as far as the plans for this property and how it has evolved into today getting to this committee?
Should I start?
I mean, I can. To be honest and transparent, this church, I only took over the pastorate 2 years ago. I do know some of the history of it. The problem is for churches, as you can imagine, the lack of resource and partnership. It's very difficult for churches to obtain the resource to do development. These kind of partnerships that are becoming available now with developers and churches are actually a great benefit to us because it'll allow us to extend. So all those years, the property was owned. The prior bishop, became, of course, elderly, wasn't as active. Eventually, I believe he was in a nursing home, so it wasn't a lot that he was doing at that point. The other persons in the church continued to try to do their best to reach out to the community. But without the partnership and resource, it was unfortunately unable to be developed. It just was unfortunate. And he already addressed what happened with the original plan, which the bishop at the time, who was Bishop Jerome Norman, did desire to build a church on that property, but the issue happened with that developer.
How many members, what's your membership like at the church?
Currently, it's right around 30 members. It's not a large church, but they're faithful to the ministry, faithful to all the programs that we've been able to implement over the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm. I'm saying that because knowing my community and my community board very well, I know that they would more than likely rather have just the church there in that space instead of looking at something else next to the school that will possibly bring, a lot more folks in that we're going to have to, make provision for. So why isn't it possible just to do the church on that space, just for the record?
Well, again, for the record, to get resource to build a church from the ground up, for churches, particularly smaller churches, is almost, I won't say impossible, but it's nigh to impossible. So these type of partnerships that have become available in the last several years where developers are willing to partner with churches are really essential for churches to expand their footprint and really do what they need to do, because outside of that, the resource to build a building, the building we have is a very small space, and even the resource to renovate that space to accommodate the programs we're doing is impossible. It's just not feasible. It's not available.
Yeah. I wanted to get that on the record. I understand. So that said, with what you have available right now on that space, is it possible to do some type of additional community programming? Southeast Queens is always looking for a community center or some kind of intergenerational place where our old can grow with the young and vice versa. Is there any way or are there any thoughts around doing something like that in this space with the church?
Talking about the new space or the existing space?
The new space.
Yes, we certainly are open to community partnership. That was one of the discussions we had, that we want to be able to make the space available for community groups, other CBOs, community-based organizations, the school, if possible, for any programs that they would have. That's certainly our desire, because, again, we desire to expand our outreach and touch all parts of the community that we can.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. Given that this space has been around so long, there are feelings about this space, but certainly, our district wants this to be beautiful. We want this to enhance the community. And again, certain thing about, those of us in Queens and the characteristic of our neighborhoods goes along, so we would want this to fit in as well. And looking at the rooftop space itself, that's an unusual thing to do. In District 28, it's unusual to do. And when I looked at it the first time, all I could think is, what if we turn this into, because it looks like a private space to me, just for the residents, and that's something that we don't want to do, is isolate the community. We want to bring the community into a space like this. So your feelings on maybe making this a green space, some kind of a garden, community garden even, something that the community could enjoy together collaboratively. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a great idea. I mean, we'd have to talk internally. Just, I guess there's liability and other issues with regards to that. The idea here was to have space where community, where at least the residents of the building would be able to engage in wellness classes. You can imagine going up there and taking yoga classes and such. It seems like a really beautiful space. So I think it's something that we can talk to Sam about and seeing, whether or not we're able to solve those issues. But having said that, it is somewhat unique space in that regard, and we do, we think it's going to be a great asset.
I'm thinking also with PS 223 right next door. What a great thing to do with the children.
Sure.
To invite the children over, make it inviting, and something, quite frankly, that I think the community would welcome even more. When we start to incorporate everything that we have that's great about our community with something new, I think that's a really good place to start. My 2 cents, as they say. How did the developer arrive at the number of units for this property?
Yeah, so the original number of units was 125. And so I don't know, Dan, if you're available, can you talk a little bit in terms of the size and layout of the units?
Sure. So the original building program looked at an 8-story building that covered less of the property than the current development or proposed development does. COY released us to actually have a lot of flexibility in terms of the way we look at laying out a building on the property. It allows for what's basically a larger bulk but shorter building. So we were able to preserve most of the units while actually increasing the bedroom count on every single unit. That was one of the comments we received during public review, meeting with the community. Everybody wanted to see larger units and less studios or 1 bedrooms. So we really pushed on increasing the amount of 2 bedrooms and 1 bedrooms and reducing the amount of studios that are being provided. So to that end, COI really gave us the flexibility to be able to do that. And while laying out the building, we tried to squeeze, again, as much as possible within the bulk while reducing the height. And that's really how we backed into the 120 units, while still providing for sufficient space for the church to be able to provide its both sanctuary functions and its community functions.
Okay. And as far as your AMIs are concerned, your market rate, what does that look like?
Yeah, so the current proposal is set at option 1. So it would be 25% at 60% AMI, with a full 10% of the building at 40% AMI, as is required by the resolution.
Okay. And if the project were to be approved, what is going to be done to ensure that District 28 and Community Board 12 residents are made aware of the available apartments?
So a few things. We had talked with Sam about hiring a local administering agent, so that in addition to their opportunity to market the affordable units, they could also make efforts to market to the local community. So Sam is a local developer. He is happy to engage with a Queens administering agent in order to try to really get the word out, advertise in local media, and to conduct educational seminars to allow for utilization by Community Board 12 and local residents.
That's one of the biggest complaints, throughout, not just my district, but throughout Southeast Queens, is that we have beautiful developments coming up all over the place, particularly in the downtown Jamaica core. And initially we hear these apartments going up and the community is left out, where, there's always been some stipulation, even as my days as board chair, that the community will always have priority. And apparently that's not been the case over the years. So whatever I'm doing in my district, I want to make sure that the community board, the surrounding residents, do have priority in these spaces that are going up and not being pushed out of, some wonderful places that are coming up in the community. And that is going to be my ask. I'm going to be looking at that very carefully. And, yeah.
Message received.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's it for my questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Are there any other colleagues that have questions for this panel? There being no questions, this panel is excused. Council, are there any members of the public who wish to testify on this project?
There is no one online or in person, but let's just verify that if you are here in person and wishing to testify regarding this application, please see the Sergeant at Arms.
Okay.
Okay.
There being no other members of the public who wish to testify on LUs 239 and 240 relating to the 123-12 Sutton Boulevard rezoning proposal, the public hearing is now closed and the items are laid over. I will now open the public hearing on LU 241 concerning the application by Lay Dive for a sidewalk cafe in Councilmember Marte's district. The proposal seeks to place 9 tables with a seating capacity for 18 along the sidewalk in front of the wine bar, which is located along Canal Street on the Lower East Side by Seward Park. For anyone wishing to testify on this item remotely, if you have not already done so, you may do that by registering online by visiting the council's website at council.nyc.gov/land use. For anyone with us in person, please see one of the Sergeant at Arms to submit a speaker's card. If you would prefer to submit written testimony, you can always do so by emailing it to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. I would now like to give the floor to Councilmember Marte to give remarks on this project.
Thank you, Councilmember and Chair Riley. Good morning. We are here to call up Le Dive's Sidewalk Cafe application. In my past 3 years as council member, I've never called up an application before, but Le Dive has demonstrated a continuous disregard for sidewalk cafe regulation and at this time cannot be trusted to be a good steward of this program and must be held accountable. Since last summer, my office has been working with residents and small business along the Canal Open Street to address quality of life issues. These trendy restaurants are havens for influencers and pop-ups and draw crowds much larger than they can responsibly accommodate. We successfully worked with many of Le Dive's neighbors who have responded to 311 complaints and outreach from residential neighbors to close their sidewalk cafes at the appropriate time or the proper time and comply with regulations. But Le Dive operates like the rule doesn't apply to them and their patrons. This business has consistently violated rules of the temporary outdoor dining program. Per 311 records, 37 Canal Street, where Le Dive is located, has received 75 complaints against the restaurant alone, the vast majority of which were about disruption on the sidewalk, loud noise and music, crowds and smoking, outdoor seating fully blocking the sidewalk, and operating outside the service past permitted hours. The Lower East Side and Chinatown are no stranger to mixed-use communities. Many of our streets are lined with bars and restaurants, with elderly immigrant neighbors living in rent-stabilized apartments above them. But this harmonious community cannot exist if bad actors are allowed to break the rule. Our elders have a right, and a legal right, to be able to use the sidewalk, a legal right to have their windows opened without cigarette smoke waffling in, a legal right to not be physically forced out of public space, left to push wheelchairs and walkers in the middle of Ludlow Street after sunset. Le Dive doesn't just bar elderly people from this otherwise highly trafficked corner. I've heard dozens of neighbors, including cool young people that probably would love to go to Le Dive, about how this one bar drags down the quality of life for the entire open street. These are not just violations, but a result of a business systematically ignoring the well-being of its neighbors with no consequences. We hope that Le Dive can be a better partner in the future. When they were notified about this called up, they sprung to respond. Unlike their reactions to nearly the 75 311 complaints from their neighbors, This shows that they're capable of being a communicative neighbor, and we're happy to reconsider their application next year. I also want to assure the business owners and patrons the removal of the Sidewalk Cafe won't hurt the business or your ability to have a good time, provided that the rules are followed. Le Dive will still be eligible for 70+ outdoor dining seats on the open street. They will still have access to the open street program and the roadside program, which makes up the majority of their outdoor dining opportunities. This Sidewalk Cafe will have relatively little impact on the business, which will still, as I said, which will still be allowed to have its entertainment and program on the open street and on the roadside cafe. But it's an essential tool that we must use, that is important that these rules and regulations are followed, because if not, this becomes a pattern. And many businesses will see that if one business can do it, why can't they? And so today is making sure that we are allowed to have successful open streets, we are allowed to have successful sidewalk cafes, but the only way we can do that is by making sure that the bad actors are held accountable. Thank you for your time, Chair, and for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Councilmember Marte, for your remarks. I will now call the applicant panel for this proposal, which consists of Max Bookman, John Nijic, and Craig Atlas. Council, can you please administer the affirmation?
Could you please raise your right hand and state your name for the record?
Max Bookman.
John Nidick.
Craig Atlas.
Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in your testimony today in response to council member questions?
I affirm.
I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Sorry for mispronouncing your last name.
All good.
Thank you for the viewing public. If you need an accessible version of this presentation, please send an email request to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. And now the applicant team may begin. I just ask that you please reinstate your name and organization for the record. You may begin.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councilmember Marte. My name is Max Bookman. I'm an attorney. My law firm is Pazetsky and Bookman, PC, and I'm the counsel for the applicant. With me is John Nidick and Craig Atlas. John is one of the owners and founding partners of Golden Age Hospitality, which owns Le Dive, and Craig is one of the partners and well as the managing operating partner for the restaurant and eating and drinking establishment. Thank you again for the opportunity to present testimony to the council today. Just want to give a little bit of background first about the team that's here today, as well as what the proposal is, and then respond to some of the concerns that that Councilmember Marte has raised. I've personally been representing businesses before. Used to be the Department of Consumer Affairs, and now the Department of Transportation, in Sidewalk Cafe and other commercial uses of the public sidewalk for the last 10 years of my legal career. My firm has been doing it for the last 39 years. I've personally been involved with several hundred Sidewalk Cafe applications over that period of time. We're no stranger to the process and how it works, as well as how these city council call-ups work, which of course were suspended for 5 years during the pandemic, but were a feature of the program both before COVID as well as in the new DOT program. John is, as you heard me say, is a founding partner of Golden Age Hospitality. He is a New York homegrown success story. He's lived and worked in this industry his entire career. He is a fixture of this industry. He is completely devoted to the restaurants and the bars that he opens. He's raising a family here. He currently owns about a half dozen bars and restaurants in the city, and he's a very involved owner of his businesses. And as you heard me say, Craig is very involved in the day-to-day operations of the business. Le Dive is a Parisian-style eating and drinking establishment. It opened in 2021, and it, I've heard a description of it today, potentially as trendy. It has a lot of support in the community. I think that's one thing that we want to emphasize. Of course, all our communities in New York are diverse, have a lot of different voices, and some of the voices that we've submitted in testimony today, many of the voices that we've submitted through emails that have been submitted to committee council and potentially testifying today, if they've stayed around, are voices that support Le Dive and believe that they are good operators and support this application for a sidewalk cafe. In the materials that we've submitted, we've given a few indications of not only just the emails and support, but the types of community engagement that LaDive is regularly involved in doing. They've been involved with family-driven community events. We gave photographs and descriptions of a Halloween event that they were part of that involved families and face painting, a Christmas tree lighting. They've donated over $200,000 to charitable causes that have a direct impact in the community. Nobody required them to do that. That was not pursuant to any stipulation. That's just part of who they are. They have roots in the community, and they consider themselves part of the community, and many others in the community feel the same way. There's a long history of eating and drinking establishments at this location, going back before LaDive. As far as we could tell, going back to 2007, which was 18 years ago, throughout that time there's been an eating and drinking establishment at this location, and potentially earlier. We just can't see past 2007. Past 2007. All of them have had some version of a sidewalk cafe on Ludlow Street, which is what the application is before you today. LaDive is on the corner of Canal and Ludlow, and this sidewalk cafe is on Ludlow Street, and they've all had a version of a sidewalk cafe. Our proposal to DOT and before the council is 9 tables and 18 chairs on Ludlow. That layout was approved by DOT, examined and approved by DOT, and importantly, it was approved by Community Board 3 with stipulations. I just want to reiterate that because I've been involved in co-ops before, and this is the first co-op that I've been involved in where we actually have an approval with stipulations from the Community Board, which of course is another voice in a community with lots of voices, but it's an important voice that is often looked to as a source of guidance, as a useful tool for raising issues, and we have stipulations with Community Board 3 in support of this application. We understand that the application has been called up because of concerns about our operation. We just heard, Council Member, your remarks, and we'd like to have a chance to address those in a few different ways. First is, this call-up did come as a surprise to us. Within the 4 corners of this application, not only were we approved by the Community Board, but at no point in the process with the Community Board were any of these concerns raised with us. We were not made aware by the Community Board that anybody opposed our application. No one had reached out to us from the broader community looking to tell us that they were opposed to our application. And I've been involved in a lot of Community Board applications over my time. One of the other things we do is liquor licenses. I'm routinely in front of this Community Board on a monthly basis. This is a sophisticated Community Board that has a sophisticated group of residents that it represents. They know how to bring to our attention when there is opposition to an application, and we got none of that here. So it was surprising to us to hear that this matter had been called up. Up until just now, as we sit down here at the dais, we've only had vague
Sorry,
ideas.
Mr. Bookman, I don't want to cut you off, but we only have 10 minutes for you to present,
Yes.
and you're at 5 already.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, so I didn't know if you were going into these slides as well too.
They're there, but I wasn't gonna tick through them like the
All right,
last
thank you.
presentation. But I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm about halfway through my remarks. We've only had vague ideas until we've sat down here at the dais from very limited information regarding what specific opposition there is to our application. And we've also only had vague ideas, and we still only do, as to who exactly it is who's putting forth this opposition, whether it's various sort of disparate community members, which is sometimes the case, or whether it's an organized group of residents, which is also sometimes the case. Because of that, we've had no opportunity to sit down face-to-face with any of them, whoever they are, to speak and directly hear from them about their issues concerning this application. We're grateful for the opportunity to appear before you today, Council Member, and for the engagement we've had with your office over the past week, which is basically the chance that we've had to be involved here. But of course, we've had no opportunity to sit down face-to-face with you to discuss these concerns. But we are here to listen. We have the top 2 people at this restaurant here. They want to hear specifically what the issues are. If there are members of the community here today in opposition, we want to hear from them. They're experienced operators. They understand how this process works. They've gotten liquor licenses before. They've gotten sidewalk cafe licenses before. They understand that compromise is key. And if there are specific areas that we can compromise on, we want to know. We're here to listen about any aspect of our operation, not just what's contained on the Ludlow Street proposal, but at the same time, we want to be clear about what this application does cover and what it doesn't cover. As you heard me say, this is a DOT application for 9 tables on the sidewalk on Ludlow Street. This is not about any other approval program that the city has. This is not about the Canal Street Open Street, which I know has, and the council member knows as well, has generated a great deal of passion from many different viewpoints. That's not what this application is here today. We understand from the very limited info that we have that there's been some 311 complaints. But I know that every member of this committee and every member of this city council cares a great deal about due process for small businesses, and due process generally. There have been 0 adjudicated violations from any agency concerning this business. We understand that there's been 311 complaints, we've just heard that, but there have been no adjudicated violations. And that's not something that we hide behind. That's just a point to say that, again, we are surprised to hear the intensity with which the issues are, because we really haven't been given adequate notice of them. Usually, when you get a summons, it gets adjudicated, you know that there's a real issue. And although there are a great many in this community who support our application, of course, the City Council's call-up is not a popularity contest. The question here before the council is whether we meet the legal requirements for a sidewalk cafe. We would have thought it wise for DOT to have been here today, so you could ask questions to them about the application and whether it meets the legal requirements for a sidewalk cafe. But at the end of the day, no matter what it is that you hear from other members of the community, we just want to be clear, this call-up, this hearing today, is not the end of the story. And I know that you, council member, have spoken to that as well in your remarks. A city council call-up is a way to get the parties into a room to talk, to discuss, and to see if compromise can be reached. Councilmember Marte, you're an important leader in this community, and we ask you that you be a facilitator of that conversation. My office has worked with your office in the past, very recently, on another sidewalk cafe application where we were able to successfully reach a deal that the community board wasn't completely happy with, but and we weren't, but it was a compromise, and that's what compromise is all about. We hope that we can have the chance to do that here for this season, and the way that's done is through stipulations. Stipulations, my last point, stipulations are what create accountability. Stipulations are incorporated into the DOT license. They are verifiable. If my client violates stipulations that we've agreed to with your office, which get incorporated into the DOT license, there are consequences. DOT can take a license away. We think that's the right approach here, and we thank you once again for your time, for your engagement on this. We look forward to continuing to work with you and your office, and we really do hope that we can reach a compromise that works for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bookman. I have a few questions that I'm going to turn over to Councilmember Marte. I believe you answered a couple of these, but I just want to ask them for the record. How long have you been operating at this location?
2021.
Yeah, May of.
May of 21 is when they opened.
May of 2021?
Yes, sir.
How long has this location had a sidewalk cafe?
So they opened during COVID under the temporary DOT open restaurants program.
It's 22.
22? Okay, pardon me. It was 22 is the correct answer.
That's
fine. So they've been operating their sidewalk cafe since right about when they opened under the DOT Open Restaurants program. We don't, again, in the last week that we've been involved, since we heard of the call-up, we don't have perfect information concerning the prior sidewalk cafes at this location, but just through conversations in the community as well as Google Street View, which has a time travel function.
That's what I was just looking at.
We could see that if you go all the way back to 2007, which is when Google started doing this, there was a restaurant called Les Enfants Terribles that had a sidewalk cafe there. And if you go forward, you could see at various other times there were as well.
Have you also applied for an open roadway cafe for your establishment?
Yes, sir.
For how many tables and seats?
The roadway cafe is for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 tables with 24 seats.
Okay. can you please discuss how the community board responded to your application and what modifications? Well, you responded to how they responded to your application, but can you, for the record, can you state what modifications the community board presented?
Sure. So we were presented with a stipulation from Manhattan Community Board 3. They asked us to make to agree to things that are more limiting than what the program laws and regulations allow. For example, the community board wanted us to close all outdoor seating by 10 p.m. The law allows for midnight. We agreed to 10 p.m. They asked for a phone number for Craig that could be conspicuously posted at all times so that if anybody from the community had concerns, they would be able to directly contact him. That is enshrined in the stipulation. We have a copy of the stipulation form here. And just on that point, I just would like just to say, because I know Councilmember Marte raised it, it was important for us to make an agreement with the community board because we know how important the community engagement is, but also, we knew that not having a sidewalk cafe actually would have a significant amount of consequence for the business. We've done calculations here, and 3 to 4 employees are employed through the sidewalk cafe alone. 3 to 4 employees are subject to losing their jobs without the sidewalk cafe. So it's not completely a sort of academic exercise. There are real economic consequences for not having the sidewalk cafe, and that's why we've taken this process seriously. That's why we've made the agreements with the community board that we have, and we're happy to agree to more restrictions. Again, we're just here to listen and to hear what those issues are, so that we can craft a stipulation if possible.
Thank you. Councilman Marte?
Thank you, Riley. I have a few questions.
Yes, sir.
From your experience at Le Dive, we all understand it's a popular restaurant. Did you ever feel like you weren't following ADA compliant rules?
Well, we know that they've not gotten any violations or any adjudications for violating the ADA. I heard your testimony just now. Pardon me, your remarks just now, council member, about concerns about sidewalk blockage. That's something that I'm going to investigate and look into. But of course, the plan that we've proposed and that we're happy to further modify if needed, would create adequate space as far as the ADA is concerned.
I don't know how you keep records of complaints or how you address them. My office alone have received dozens of complaints, not only through petitions, but direct emails to our office from local nonprofits, from other businesses and residents in the area. And so for me, it's also a surprise that you haven't received any complaints. Have you spoken to your staff or managers at the location to see if they've gotten residents that have walked in to file some of these complaints directly?
So, council member, I'm going to say a word on that, but then I am going to turn it over to my clients because they're under oath as well, and I want you to hear it under oath directly from them on this point. In the week that I've been involved since the call up investigating this, they have been emphatic with me that they have not received complaints from individuals in the community concerning the operation of their outdoor space. There was one particular resident, the only exception to that is one particular resident who they could speak to more directly about, but there has not been, beyond that, complaints that we're aware of, nor are we aware of communications from any elected officials or the community board directly to us concerning our operation. But with that said, let me turn it over to my clients to add to it.
Thanks, Max. Yeah, as Max said, we've been doing this for 12 years, and we've had a number of instances with places that we've run when there have been neighbors who have had complaints around operation. There was an instance around sidewalk operations during the pandemic at one of our venues in the West Village, and the person came to us, left their number. Our email was given, they reached out, and we started a conversation in which we compromised, complied, took off. I mean, it was the pandemic, so it was a different situation, but we basically took down half of our sidewalk so that we could comply with creating passageway for that. In this instance, there have not been any. No one has gone and created an outreach that facilitates a conversation where someone sends an email to us or gives a phone number or calls us directly, which is normally how we're done. Our managers are also instructed to give out numbers or our contact information on our community board stipulations that were from the very beginning that we were on. Our numbers are on them, so there are avenues that I know the community board knows how to get in touch with us because we've been in touch with the community board over. We were in touch with the Black Association when we first got our license, who hasn't been involved in this process. So, sorry, that was a long answer to say that there just hasn't been any formal outreach, which we have either ignored or pushed to the side or anything like that.
And if I could just add one more point to that, council member, which is, again, I've been involved with a lot of community board applications, liquor licenses. It's a common feature or bug of the system, I suppose, where you appear at whether it's a hearing like this or at community board, and there's sort of a disagreement about who reached out to who and when, and was it sufficient, and sometimes different parties could just have different views of the same facts. I mean, I think the important point, the point that I just really want to emphasize is we are here now. There's an opportunity now. I mean, we've been emphatic, you've heard, about what our view is in terms of outreach to us. But, even if you don't want to take that view, we are here now. This is not the end of the story. This is a hearing today to hear it out, and we would greatly appreciate an opportunity to sit down, facilitated by your office, with members of your office, with whoever it is that has reached out to your office, to see if we can't address something now.
Okay. 2 more questions. Residents and actually the Block Association have demonstrated proof of complete blockage of the sidewalk, amplified music coming from business late into the night, alcohol service happening past the permitted hours in the open street, which has a curfew of 10 p.m., and wait lines into the restaurant, which are a violation of the stipulations from Community Board 3. And a lot of these have been recorded as 311 complaints. What process do you have in place to address these 311 complaints, and have you gotten them resolved?
I'll happy to address that, and then if you have anything else you want to add, feel free, but you don't have to. So, one of the, issues with the 311 system is, if there is no summons or violation that comes from that, it's very difficult for us as the business owner to be put on notice. We think the community board is aware of that as well, which is why their stipulation process sort of doesn't really rely on 311, but instead relies on direct communication between the business and the individuals in the community who are having a complaint through the posting of phone numbers and other means of access, because that is a better system, as you've heard John speak to, than the 311 system. So, through the system that that the community board has suggested that we use, which is through direct communication, you've heard us say that we've really not had the types of complaints that we're hearing about. Again, we're not here to say that people are lying. We're not here to say that people are don't have issues. We're just here to say that, we've not had a chance to sit down with those people to actually talk it out. And it is important, again, on the point of due process, which I know is something that you stand for, as very important. Again, not saying anybody is lying, but it is important that if there are violations, and community boards say this all the time, that they be brought to the appropriate agency so there could be an adjudication, so we could get the facts out on the record, see if someone, see what, have a chance to confront and speak with who's making the accusation, and it's critical here that we don't have any adjudicated violations. And as you've heard me say, we'd love a chance to speak with whoever it is who has been having complaints through 311 or otherwise.
Okay. No more questions.
Do you want to speak? Or?
I think it's all right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Marte. And I just want to state we do have members that are testifying online, so if you want to stay and possibly hear some of these community members, that would be important. I do want to state, it's not a question, but it's a statement, usually as council members, and you possibly haven't heard these complaints, but as members that represent communities, we hear each and every single voice in our community. So it is possible that Councilmember Marte has been receiving complaints about this establishment and just wanted to do the call up just so he could rectify those complaints. But we do appreciate your willingness to come here and actually help to address these concerns that the community members are having. So just wanted to state that for the record. And Councilmember Marte, thank you so much for adhering to your community. We really appreciate it.
Thank you,
we're
Chair.
going-
It's all, if I may, it's all about collaboration, seeing
course.
if we could reach compromise. That's what leadership is all about. As council members, you all know that, and we're happy to do our part. Thank you.
Can I just say one thing?
Of course, go ahead.
We just to answer your question, we did when over the summer, not as a part of this program, but as a part of the Open Streets, where the STIPs were. There was a different situation, and when we came, we were the last ones who came in, and we basically just followed what everybody else in the Open Streets was doing in terms of the serving time. As soon as it became clear of when that was supposed to be done serving, we immediately on the Open Streets. This is not the sidewalk. The sidewalk we were never serving past the hours, but we immediately reeled it back and brought everything, including with all of our neighbors, into accordance with the Open Streets to have. There's a fine line between having the tables completely cleared out and having not serving after that. And we made a ton of efforts 6 months ago to address the concerns from the neighborhood group that I believe was in contact with your office. So we did address those concerns.
Thank you.
Thank
This
you.
Applicant team, you're excused. Thank you so much. Councilor, are
very
there any members of the public who wish to testify on this item?
Yes, we have about 12 members of the public who signed up online to testify.
Thank you.
And
For the members of the public here to testify, please note that the witnesses will generally be called in panels of 4. If you are a member of the public signed up to testify on the proposal, please stand by when you hear your name being called and prepare to speak when I say you may begin. Please also note that once all panelists in your group have completed their testimony, if remotely, you will be removed from the meeting as a group. The next group of speakers will be introduced. Once removed, participants may continue to view the live stream broadcast of this hearing on the council's website. Members of the public will be given 2 minutes to speak. Please do not begin until the Sergeant at Arms has started the clock. I will begin with the first panel, which consists of Sandy Lee, Bruce Torrey, Emma Colbert, and Tommy Mendez. We'll begin first with Sandy Lee. Sandy, if you can hear me, please unmute.
Hi, Sandy Lay here.
Yes, we can hear you. You may begin.
Okay, great. Well, first of all, thank you, Council, for your time today. My name is Sandy Lay, and I'm here from Neighbors on Canal. I live in Chinatown on Canal Street, half a block away from Ladive. Ladive has been an absolute nightmare for the neighborhood. They are by far the worst operator on the block. Their crowds are massive, unruly, disrespectful. They are so disrespectful and large that they employ private security on the public open street 7 days a week last summer. They are in constant violation of their SLA stipulations. They have DJs in the basement. They have wait lines outside on Ludlow Street. They blast amplified music with their facade open, audible from 2 blocks away. They consistently block sidewalk access by adding tables. A 2-top suddenly becomes a 4-top, suddenly becomes an 8-top. They encourage smoking by placing ashtrays on outdoor tables. I have a child. It's gotten so bad on Canal Street that I've been rejected by babysitters who say they want to avoid the area. They can't get picked up in front of the house. They tell me it's dangerous stepping outside at night and that it's like walking into a music festival. I want to be very clear here that Ladive does not serve the community. It is not a neighborhood joint or a mom and pop restaurant. It is an outpost of a corporate nightlife empire called Golden Age. They offer $16 cocktails, even though 26% of our neighbors here in Chinatown live below the poverty line. So today we are speaking about a grand total of 18 sidewalk seats. Last year, Ladive operated 90 outdoor seats. So even if these 18 seats are rejected, under Dine Out NYC and Open Streets, Ladive will still be able to operate 70 plus seats outdoors. 18 seats is no great loss to a hospitality giant like Golden Age, but it is a step in the right direction in restoring quality of life to residents and neighboring businesses. And in regards to neighbors not contacting them directly, I am authorized to read a written statement from Ann Weninger at 35 Canal Street, who wrote in her written testimony to the Land Use Committee, "When we and our downstairs neighbors have asked them to reduce their music sound, they laugh in our faces and say no. So please do the right thing and curb Ladive's extravagant outdoor dining allowances and restore balance to our neighborhood. Thank you."
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Bruce Torrey.
Time starts now.
Bruce, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin. Was it *6 or *9?
Good morning.
Okay, we hear you, Bruce. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you for your time this morning. I don't think I'm able to add anything more coherent and succinct than Sandy, but I would just maybe call out, I found it quite striking to compare and contrast the subject of the previous hearing, a mixed-use building of clear benefit to a neighborhood over a church, with this application, which frankly provides zero benefit to the neighborhood, and in fact is a net negative to our quality of life and safety. So, thank you for your time. I agree with Sandy. We need to do something to roll this back, and here's a first step. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Emma Colbert.
Time starts now.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good morning. My name's Emma Colbert. I'm a 20-plus year resident of the Lower East Side and also a president of a long-standing block association called Space. I'm raising my family 200 feet from Ladive. Our block association met with John Nedick in July 2021, and we came to an agreement regarding hours and impressed upon him the vibe of our neighborhood. Since Ladive opened almost 3 years ago, they've preyed upon the community with zero concern for their neighbors. Ladive regularly flouts stipulations dictated by their New York State liquor license, as well as dine-out stipulations. They also have been in gross violation of the American with Disability Acts. And finally, they have constantly have patrons standing in and amongst their outdoor tables, smoking tobacco, cannabis, vaping at their tables, thus violating the Smoke-Free Air Act. They've created a huge quality of life issue for residents who live in my community, namely the massive increase of volume of noise, smoke, pedestrian congestion, public intoxication, and trash. I'm not going to go into so much about the numbers of seats as Sandy went through that. But considering the gross lack of enforcement of legally agreed upon stipulations, the Smoke-Free Air Act and open container law, we implore you to rein in the situation which the DOT has created and Ladive has exploited. Without these 18 seats, they would still have a massive outdoor footprint, more than any other, by 30 seats more than any other restaurant in the neighborhood. I want to address a couple of comments that the lawyer said, and that is that the 75 plus 311 complaints is a communication to Ladive, that there is an issue, as well as that many of the people directly affected in this neighborhood are Chinese immigrants who speak solely Chinese. So I don't know who he thinks is going to come up and speak with him. They are also capable of searching 311 complaints. You can do it. I can do it. Anyone can do it. So therefore, John and his team have not done their due diligence. Further, John should not be required to have a sit down to review his stipulations as he's required by law. And that also that there's no adjudicated violations because the DOT and NYPD are grossly understaffed and have not been on top of managing bad actors. If John and his lawyer prefer that we go after the SLA license, we can do that. And finally, 3 or 4 employees for 18 seats, that's simply just not the case. Thank you.
Thank you. One last time, Tommy Mendez. Tommy, if you're here, please unmute. You may begin.
Time starts now.
Hello. I'm the owner of Barber Alley, which is located on Orchard at Canal, and we've been there for 12 years. I will not say anything about the business. It is the open street situation, and for us in particular, it's the traffic. We're on Orchard Street, and all the traffic has to come up Orchard Street, which is extremely narrow. And, 4 years ago, we had our roof, our outdoor barrier hit by a truck where the roof collapsed. Thank God it was during the day. We were not open. It is so narrow. And on the weekends, Fridays and Saturdays in particular, was 9 Orchard there. It is the livery drivers. It's just a matter of time before someone is injured, really very seriously there. Nobody really knows where they're at, including the people that are now down over here that have no idea what Times Square is or what they're doing or where they're going, and it is like an outdoor festival. The situation really is, when you think about it, is a turn to division to come to Orchard to drive 2 blocks to Grand where they're forced to turn to the right or to the left. And instead of having a barrier, if they were onto Allen Street, which is 2 lanes, I for the life of me, I cannot understand how they've let this happen. I mean, I've sent many videos to the council, to the community board, just the traffic, the cars that are backed up, cars that do back up, and the fire department that just can't get through there. I mean, it is so critical. And it's incredible because we're talking about Orchard Street. We're not talking about a small street to close here. It's a major thoroughfare. So I'm not sitting here saying it's just the open street on Canal, which I just find incredible. And we, along with other people, they have their issues. Mine is the traffic that is forced from Division right up Orchard Street for 2 blocks, and then it stops because Orchard is then closed. And it's just just a matter of time before someone really is injured there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Martin, you have any questions for this panel?
Yes, I'll just ask one question. Emma, are you still on?
I am.
Can you talk about the role that space has historically with restaurants and bars on Canal Street?
Yeah, I mean, so we are a slightly larger block association, although I live directly on Canal Street in that immediate area. We have been a block association since 2006, and we have both welcomed and thwarted many restaurants and bars in our neighborhood. Almost everybody in our neighborhood has a stipulations agreement signed by us. We are not many block associations just try to shoot down anybody who's seeking a liquor license. That is not at all how we have operated. And we actually signed a liquor license, or rather a stipulations agreement, with John and Ladive in 2021. Although I have to say that I did not have a warm and fuzzy feeling at that moment that things were going to go well, and it has absolutely proven to go as negatively as I anticipated.
No further questions.
Thank you. There being no questions, this panel is excused. The next panel I'll be calling up consists of Lucinda Constable, Rachel Wilkerson, Samantha Barron, and Katharina Malden. We'll begin first with Lucinda Constable. Lucinda, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin.
Time starts now.
Hi, can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes, we can hear you.
I live on Canal Street on this exact block. I've been there for 7 years. And I enjoy this street as much as anyone else. And I have to say that there were problems at first, but everything was addressed that I'd heard of. I have several other friends that live on this block upstairs with small children, and every concern that had been raised with the team at Ladive had been taken into account. Like, the sidewalk used to be crowded, and then now the lines are completely formed inside, and there has not been any issues last summer. So I'm really hoping it can stay open because we have, love using this as a community resource. And, I'm a young person and we all enjoy it. That's all.
Thank you so much. Next, we'll hear from Samantha Barron.
Time starts now.
Oh, okay. I believe Ms. Barron dropped off, so we'll be going to Rachel Wilkerson.
Time starts now.
I believe Rachel Wilkerson dropped off. Okay, we'll go to Katharina Malden. Katharina, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for your time this morning. I just wanted to add that we're regulars at Ladive. We go there a lot in the summer. And I have a lot of friends who live and work in the area. And I think it's absurd to assert that a restaurant and outside cafe is not a resource to the neighborhood or doesn't add anything to a neighborhood, because New York City thrives on restaurants and entertainment. And I just think that Ladive has been overwhelmingly positive. Like, we spend a lot of time there. We sit outside a lot. I personally have pushed a stroller down the sidewalk with no problems. Like, the staff is very attentive to managing the crowds, to managing the line, moving people out of the way. There's a somewhat limited impact people can have on like moving the public around when they stand on public sidewalks. But everything I've seen from Ladive is that they do what they can to manage the impact and be good neighbors to other businesses and the residents in the neighborhood. And I think those sidewalk tables are like, they're always pushed up against the wall. There's only two chairs. I've never seen them turn those 2 tops into 4 tops on the sidewalk specifically. So I personally have not seen those issues. And to me, it seems like Ladive has always been a respectful neighbor.
Thank you. Councilman Mato, you have any questions for this panel? All right, thank you. There being no questions, this panel is excused. The next panel I'm going to call up. Just give me 1 second so I can get it. The next panel will consist of Jason Casella, Michael Lermoff, and Kahim Rivera. We'll begin first with Jason Casella.
Time starts now.
Jason, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin.
Sorry, I was muted.
No problem. Go ahead.
So thanks for the time. I just want to say that I've lived in the Lower East Side for 19 years. I'm raising 2 kids here. They're 12 and 14 years old. And I think Ladive has a great benefit to the neighborhood, both socially and economically. I find it to be a safe, pleasant space. It's a gathering space where people are outside. It's mostly people eating dinner. It's not people drinking. It's not like the bars in Hell Square where people are drunk and loud. It's a calm, welcoming, quiet area for the most part that centers community. I have friends in other neighborhoods and friends from other cities who were jealous, to be honest, of Times Square and kind of the community it has there. So I think it'd be a disservice to the neighborhood for them to lose their tables. That's it.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Michael Lermoff.
Time starts now.
Lermoff, yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for your time. Yeah, so I'm a 25-year resident of the Lower East Side. I don't live directly above Ladive. I live on Clinton Street, so I don't want to diminish the concerns of some of my neighbors. But I do want to say I'm a big supporter of open streets, and I just think the Open Streets program, particularly there on Jackson Street, as well as Canal, have just added so much to our community and just created really positive street life for this neighborhood. As far as the tables on Ludlow Street, that stretch of Ludlow is kind of dark and kind of blighted next to the theater that that's basically just sitting there. So I feel like tables there are a great addition to an otherwise pretty dark area in our neighborhood. So I just, I'm here to support. I think that area in the Open Streets program in general is just very, very good, and outdoor dining is an amazing addition to the community. Obviously not to diminish any of the concerns of my neighbors over some people who may behave badly. Anyway, that's thanks so much.
Thank you. And lastly, we'll hear from Kahim Rivera.
Time starts now.
All right, thank you. I am the general manager at Ladive. I started in October. I'm a third-generation New Yorker. My mother and grandmother both grew up here. I'm super sensitive to neighborhoods changing and gentrification. My mom has been priced out of most of the neighborhoods that she used to rent from, since I started in October, my employers have always told me prioritize the neighbors. I give my information out to anyone that comes by and says they're a neighbor as a guest or just, that I'm introduced to. It's really been a priority to listen to feedback and adjust accordingly, at least since I've been there. I don't know. I definitely wouldn't work for people who were aloof to the needs of people who actually live there. It's been super important to adjust. I try my best to go up to tables when they're smoking and tell them, you can't do that here. Go around the corner. People think they can, so it's hard to catch it immediately, but we do. And it, relative to other places that are putting out the quality of food that we are putting out, it's a pretty cheap place. Inflation is real, but as a native New Yorker, I feel like this place is accessible. I was a guest before I was a manager, and I loved it. And the staff really cares. And losing those seats is real. It is jobs, and it makes a huge difference. And the thing is, it doesn't lessen the demand or the traffic. So not being able to seat these people will create more crowds. You know what I mean? We actually want to accommodate people, and we want to get them down at a seat and get food into their belly. We don't want to have a sidewalk party. We don't want to have lines. We want to be able to operate. That's all.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions for this panel, Councilman Marte?
I'll ask one question to Mr. Rivera. When you do have crowds, what is your process to deal with it, specifically on the sidewalk?
So, on the weekends, this happens in the afternoon. People will queue up to try to get a spot, and what we do is we run a wait list and we say, hey, you can't wait here, but we'll shoot you a text as soon as we have something available, and you try to move through it as quickly as you can. At night, it's a high trafficked area on Canal Street. People will try to line up, and I walk up and down the line and I say, hey, we're at capacity right now. Please go grab a drink somewhere else. You can try again in a little while, but we can't have a line. We have neighbors upstairs. And that is an every night thing that I do. And again, there's only so much we can do to fight natural foot traffic on Canal Street when there are so many businesses, but we are doing that.
Thank you, Councilman Marte. There being no questions for this panel is excused. We'll just stand at ease for 30 seconds. If you are online and want to testify on the Sidewalk Cafe proposal, please use the raise hand function. Good. All right. There being no other members of the public who wish to testify on LU 241 related to the application by Ladive for a Sidewalk Cafe application, this public hearing is now closed and the item is laid over. That concludes today's business. I would like to thank the members of the public, my colleagues, subcommittee council, land use, and other council staff, and especially the Sergeant at Arms for participating in today's meeting. This meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you.